Okay, so I never thought I'd be making this video, but here we are. This is a very complicated and confusing situation to be in. Prior to learning about the iPhone 15 Pro Max, I had every intention this year to buy the smaller iPhone 15 Pro. However, what ended up happening was Apple threw a complete curveball this year, and they announced that only the iPhone 15 Pro Max was getting that 5x telephoto lens. A marketing ploy that worked, at least on me. You see, as a creator and as someone who travels often, I love having a 10x telephoto on my S23 Ultra. The pictures you're able to capture from quite a distance is incredible. Just look at the detail on some of these shots. They were all shot on the S23 Ultra using the 10x telephoto. So what ended up happening was, as usual, Apple got me, and in the end I ended up buying the iPhone 15 Pro Max. But after a few days with this device, I went out and I got the iPhone 15 Pro. This entire situation is a complete mess, and I'll explain everything in this video. You see, the iPhone 15 Pro and the iPhone 15 Pro Max are two of the latest flagship devices from Apple, but there are some big concerns with the iPhone 15 Pro Max and potentially with the iPhone 15 Pro. Concerns that we most certainly will get into. This year, Apple opted to build the iPhone 15 Pro and the iPhone 15 Pro Max with titanium as opposed to aluminum. This is a move that Apple has been wanting to make for quite some time now. In fact, there were some strong rumors that Apple was planning on bringing titanium to the iPhone 14 Pro models, but of course that ended up not happening. A blessing in disguise in my opinion. Every year, Tim Cook comes up on stage, he pounds his chest, and he announces to the world that this is the best iPhone we've ever made.
iPhone 13 Pro, these are the best iPhones we've ever created. iPhone 14 Pro and iPhone 14 Pro Max, the best iPhones we've ever created. And iPhone 15 Pro, these are the best and most capable iPhones we've ever made.
Honestly, it's become a meme at this point, and I still find it pretty funny because I can confidently say that the iPhone 15 Pro and the iPhone 15 Pro Max are not the best iPhones ever made. I think that title belongs to the iPhone 13 Pro Max, but that's besides the point. Our story begins with titanium. Honestly, I was quite excited for Apple to switch over to titanium. A titanium iPhone means a lighter iPhone, and quite honestly, who doesn't want that? It's much easier to carry around, and it doesn't cause as much hand fatigue during those extended periods of doom scrolling away on TikTok. Honestly, I was a little unsure at first about Apple making this move, because I know for a fact that titanium is incredibly hard to work with for a multitude of reasons. But after reading that Apple spent over $24 billion on research and development, I came away confident that they had everything figured out. However, on day one already, I found a scratch on my iPhone 15 Pro Max. To be completely fair, I did use it caseless for about 12 hours, but I don't recall it getting scratched. If we zoom in, you can see that the frame of my iPhone 15 Pro Max is scratched. And while unfortunate, this is inevitable with titanium. Earlier, I mentioned that titanium is really hard to work with. I said that partly because it's very hard to coat titanium with dye. This means your brand new titanium built iPhone is much more prone to scratches when compared to an iPhone that's made from aluminum. It's a shame really, because I had every intention to use my iPhone 15 Pro Max caseless this year. The 15 Pro Max is noticeably lighter this year. It honestly feels great in the hands, and the slightly more curved edges feel incredible to hold on to. For me, using a massive phone as big as the iPhone 15 Pro Max is quite comfortable now with one or two hands. Even the 5x telephoto that I was hyped for is much better than I expected. Some of these shots you see right now were taken from quite the distance, and it's remarkable that a phone is able to retain all of this detail from such a distance. If you pair the 5x telephoto with the action mode, you can see that the stabilization is terrific once the video processes. Really impressive stuff from the iPhone 15 Pro Max. But the thing is, this phone overheats. And I'm not just talking about regular overheating here that every smartphone experiences once in a while. Sometimes on this phone, the heat gets to a point where you just can't even hold the phone in your hands anymore. And this was bound to happen. Let me explain.
I've been feeling so small. Watch the clock ticking off the wall.
How's it going everyone? My name is RJ and we need to talk. There are a lot of things going wrong right now for the iPhone 15 Pro and more specifically for the iPhone 15 Pro Max. I don't know about other tech creators, but I feel like it's my job to inform you guys, the public, on my experience with every device I use. It doesn't have to be an iPhone, it can be anything. And when something is seriously wrong, I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you guys. I am always straight up going to tell you guys like how it is. And whatever you guys decide to do with that information is totally up to you, because at the end of the day, it's your hard-earned money that's being spent on these devices, and you have the right to be informed on what's going on. First off, there's the durability concerns. As I talked about in my previous video, the iPhone 15 Pro Max failed Jerry Riggs' durability test. For the first time ever, an iPhone failed the bend test. But it's important to note that this only happened with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. The smaller iPhone 15 Pro passed this test. It seems like in the middle of the Pro Max, there's too much of an empty space. This empty space causes the phone to collapse in the middle and eventually bend or or break. If you're someone who keeps their iPhone in their back pocket, I'd be very careful doing that from now on. Or just make sure to get a very good case. The one that I'm currently using is the Andar Aspen. This is a full grain leather case, and of course there's a 15% discount for you guys in the description below, as well as a link to the Andar Aspen. On my iPhone 15 Pro Max, if you look close enough around the action button and the volume rockers, there seems to be some sort of a discoloration. This could have something to do with the weak coating, but it is definitely something to keep an eye on. And then of course there's the overheating concerns. This has gotten so bad for me that the other day while I was charging my phone in my car using a USB-C cable and writing an email simultaneously, my iPhone 15 Pro Max started to get insanely hot. In fact, it got so hot that I could feel the heat through the back of my case. That's how bad it was. And I have never experienced anything like this before with any other phone. Keep in mind, I never bought the exploding Galaxy Note 7. What's really funny is when Samsung introduced USB-C on the Galaxy Note 7, it exploded. And now Apple introduced USB-C on the iPhone 15 Pro and ... Of course, this is just a joke and I don't expect the iPhone 15 Pro to explode. At least I hope not. What's rather strange is there are people out there saying if you charge your iPhone 15 with the USB-C cable that Apple included in the box, then your phone will not overheat, which to me makes no sense whatsoever. But I do trust these individuals, so I will give it a shot. But I feel like there's something here that's more important to acknowledge, and that's the fact that this is not an isolated issue. People from all over the world are saying this. Reputable tech creators and even my good friend Alex, who also runs a tech YouTube channel, tweeted this out. Charging stopped again as the iPhone 15 Pro Max was too hot. This time sitting idle at my desk charging via USB-C. His iPhone 15 Pro Max got as hot as 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which converts to 37.7 degrees Celsius. I'm telling you guys, this is not normal iPhone behavior. And as I said before, this was bound to happen. A titanium body plus an insanely powerful chip plus poor cooling will lead to this. But the thing is, this story takes a turn. You'd assume that a smaller titanium phone with a smaller chassis will also inevitably get just as hot, if not hotter. That doesn't seem to be the case with the iPhone 15 Pro. This seems to only be affecting the iPhone 15 Pro Max, which to me makes this all the more confusing. This makes no sense whatsoever. An overwhelming amount of overheating complaints are for the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So what did I do? I went out and I bought the iPhone 15 Pro. The phone I wanted to buy in the first place. I've been using the smaller iPhone 15 Pro for about 24 hours now, and so far no overheating issues. The iPhone 15 Pro doesn't overheat when I'm just scrolling the web, it doesn't overheat when I'm gaming, and so far it hasn't overheated when I'm trying to write an email and charge the phone at the same time. In fact, it barely gets warm. However, it is important to note that it's only been 24 hours, so anything can happen still. If you guys want to stay tuned for my full iPhone 15 Pro review, then make sure you guys do subscribe, because this is a very weird situation. So what's going to happen now with the iPhone 15 Pro Max? Well, Apple certainly will not do a massive recall. That will be admitting to their mistakes, and Apple will most certainly not do that because they have a reputation to uphold. So what Apple will most likely do is they will drop a software update. A software update that will throttle the processor, just like what they did with their MacBooks back in 2015. This update may prevent overheating, but in the process, it'll make the iPhone 15 Pro a much less powerful phone, which is not what I paid for in the first place. So let's see what unfolds. Apple has yet to comment officially, but the pressure will eventually get to them. I'm quite honestly excited to test and try out the regular iPhone 15 Pro. I know that the titanium coat will eventually fade over time, but this time I slapped on an Android case almost immediately. I love the lightweight feel of this phone, I love the smaller form factor, and hopefully this is the iPhone I'll be sticking to once I complete my iPhone 15 Pro Max review. A lot of great content ahead, so make sure you do subscribe to the channel. If you made it to the end of this video, drop a fire emoji down in the comments below. I would love to know who my true supporters are. As of right now, this, my friends, is quite literally the hottest iPhone ever made.